They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like steak, say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
Oh, baby. He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages of ready review. It wasn't a big secret, we knew. Oh, yeah. He said people don't realize Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, drug nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But that was argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, two wrongs don't make a right. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. Univision, AP, the fact check crew. Oh, acting all surprised that the sky is blue. It wasn't no secret, we knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologist blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed. No wonder when the virus spread, he the one who missed it. Spread them out, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. The lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. The nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret, we knew. You unveil oxygen like contraband air. Like 6 there. You sat down, claiming claiming to discover chess. War your money was his big surprise. Iraq has oil, can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided, a surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew, everybody knew, everybody knew, everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Gather round, everyone, and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes,
patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, back on the flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers and slip. Had Biden done it, then shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
A self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming to you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're anticipating a sparkler raid in a hot second, so we're going to wait to talk about all of the, other stuff until then. Oh, there we go. 99 raiders coming from Hal over on Twitch, and then the YouTube raid should be following right shortly. Good to see you, Moon Girl, CSL, DB Golding, Aaron over there on Twitch as well. Thanks everybody who is coming over from Hal, and of course over on YouTube. Hello, Aaron and Jolie, two halves of the best mod squad on the planet, at least my mod squad. Shovel Dead, good to see you. We'll talk about 9/11 Commission stuff in a second. Doc, Abe, and Irex. And what's up, Doc? Steve from across the pond.
It's no Scottish, it's crap.
Belfast Bob. Who else am I missing over here? Kelly. Good to see everybody. Please make sure to smash that like button if you're over on YouTube, and if you're on Twitch, hop over for a second and smash the like button. Give me a subscribe as well, because, we are trying to grow the numbers. Good to see you, MST Wash. Thank you very much. Trying to see who else to say hello to. We're just going to give the Raiders a few more minutes to come on over before we start talking about lots of stuff, the stuff that I have planned to talk about. Although, there is one annoying thing. Again, I've been dealing with my health insurance issues with my new insurer for a while now, but there are some things that are coming around from the old insurer that are also managing to piss me off. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't known, like the beginning of the year, about mid-January, the law firm I used to work for announced that they were going under, that they were no longer, or not even going under, but they were dissolving the law firm. One of our practice groups was going off to go leave to go be at another law firm, and that was one of the high dollar ones, I guess, that we had, and the firm felt like it couldn't survive without that practice group, so they just decided to dissolve and go away. So if you're looking for a new job, here's two things I would recommend for you to do. A, make sure that they don't have United Healthcare, because that's who I currently have, and United Healthcare sucks. But B, and here's another important thing, make sure that the health insurance plan is not self-funded. So there's two kind of ways to do health insurance. You could have a self-funded plan where you pay like Blue Cross to administer the plan, but all of the claims come out of your pockets or the company's pockets. So if the company has a good year when it comes to claims, then it will do better. But if a company has a bad year, they might have to raise your rates on you. They might have to, they might have a very bad financial year. Let's just put it that way. Because they're the ones that have to pay out the funds to the providers above and beyond whatever your co-payment cost-sharing agreement is or whatever. So that's what happened with this one. With my health insurance plan, I didn't realize it was self-funded. And so when they declared bankruptcy, once the health insurance plan was over and my former employer was no longer paying money to Blue Cross will generate the explanation of benefits, but it doesn't include the in-network amount. So normally when you see your explanation of benefits, you will see like, okay, this procedure was billed at $1,000, let's just say. Oh, but the allowable amount under Blue Cross, for example, might be $300. So they have to waive that right off. And then they say, okay, well, your insured version, the cost of you, the insured, you might have a 20% copay. So that would be $60 for you. So for the $1,000 overall charge, you only have to pay as the insured $60 if you've met your deductible and you're at whatever the terms of your plan is. And then the insurance pays for the rest. But in this case, the insurance was my employer who's no longer there. So now I am getting bills for, like, my son had to go see the doctor on the 12th of February. I just got a bill now because they filed their claim like in May, well past the time that the plan was closed, and all they get back is, we can't pay this because it's not coverable under whatever, but the real reason is they're not paying it because the plan is gone. It's dead. It's done. There's no more plan. So I'm now potentially on the hook, not just for my share, which is reasonable. I would absolutely have no problem paying my share. I'm on the hook for the share of my former employer, but I'm on the hook for everything else that even the employer wouldn't have to pay because it's the charged amount, not the billed amount. So that's part of my issue today. So I had to try and start dealing with that, and I'm waiting for the hospital or the health network people to contact me back because the individual I first started talking to was not okay. But then I need to also go talk to Blue Cross because I'm like, hey, why aren't you putting what the in-network rate is? Because that would help me greatly in determining how much money I would actually have to pay these people. Even if I have to pay my former employer's share, it'll still be a much smaller amount than the billed amount that the doctor's office wants to give. So that's just two things if you're looking for a new job to be very careful about. Now look, not all your employers go bankrupt all the time or have to declare bankruptcy or have to fold or whatever, but it is a much more secure situation if your employer is paying the entire premium to the health insurer, whatever health insurer that is, rather than just paying them to administer it and then eating the rest of the cost themselves. Because as we've seen in my case right now, I, the insured, am left holding the bag. And it sucks majorly. So, Belfast Bob, damn labor commies giving us free health care in the 1950s. Exactly. One of the things I say, that there's a conservative saying that, like, oh, to try and justify people going more conservative, is like, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart, and if you're not a conservative when you grow older, you have no brain, which is dumb. Because in reality, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart, and if you don't keep moving further and further to the left, as you are, the whole world reveals you the flaws of capitalism, the flaws of the big insurers, and the flaws that go on, with conservative ways of thinking, you absolutely are not paying attention to the world around you. So, anyway, hey, Penny Tricrate, hey, Dawn, good to see you. Hey, I don't like sports. Hey, Chris, everybody else that's coming by over there. KJ Doglove, good to see you. Hallie Osher, Tyne Britt. Tyne Britt, know that some health insurance companies will consider cancer a pre-existing condition. Well, that's why we needed to have the Affordable Care Act. At least one of the benefits of the Affordable Care Act was the fact that we eliminated pre-existing condition clauses. And that's one of the good things. No, but the worst thing was that what they used to do, Tyne Britt, was that they actually considered acne to be a pre-existing condition. And if you didn't disclose that you had acne, they were canceling people's coverage who had cancer. Like, that's how horrific the health insurance market was. But you didn't have enough people who would want single payer, Medicare for all or whatever. So we had to go the Affordable Care Act. And now they didn't pass it with a public option. I would have preferred it. But, I mean, you needed to get rid of pre-existing condition clauses. However, and you needed to get rid of rescission. But if you do that, you had to put in some sort of mandate to have coverage, because if you didn't have the mandate to have coverage, then people would only wait to buy insurance until they were sick, and then that's what's called anti-selection. And as such, it would just stop being insurance. It would just start being health discount plans or whatever. And that's fine if you want a health discount plan, but you would have collapsed the market. So you had to, if you're going to have an elimination of pre-existing condition clauses, you need to have a mandate. And I always say to the conservatives that don't understand, I'm like, if you're a conservative, you don't understand those words and what I'm saying here, you need to educate yourself more before you start trying to debate healthcare. But even now, it's like, but there are flaws with the Affordable Care Act. And I wasn't planning on going all Affordable Care Act. I was just going to rant and rave about my shit. But one of the flaws with the Affordable Care Act is the fact that if an insurance company, it said, okay, an insurance company can keep at most 80% of, the premiums that it brings in. 20%. 80% of the premiums, got it backwards. 80% of the premiums have to go to healthcare. Actually have to go be paid out to doctors and cover your benefits. The other 20% can go towards profits, administrative costs, salaries, etc., all non-health related costs. And they would have to be required to pay it back to the plans if they kept more than 20%. So what the insurers figured out is, well, if we pay the doctors more for these procedures, then we can charge the customers more for their premiums, and we still get to get more profit. And where else are they going to go? So that's one of the flaws of the Affordable Care Act. Look, I'm all for single payer, but we need to add a public option, and we need to have a Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate and a Democratic president to be able to get that public option. So, anyway, that's that. Again, welcome all the sparklers who have stopped by. Got 198 over on YouTube, but only 37 likes still, so please make sure to smash that like button. Let's see. Ali Osher says, wait, LMAO, we need to go capo sock. Wait, and we will be okay. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about there. I would rather go to public option. Public option would be, not public option. I mean, I would want Medicare for all, single payer system, because the private insurance companies have basically said, nope, F you, F the customer, so we should say F you right back to them. But if we need to get there, sometimes we need to get there incrementally. And unfortunately, I consider myself a progressive leftist, But, you know, I consider myself somebody who keeps moving and moving further to the left as I grow older because I see the horribleness that is going on in our society and what conservatism does. That being said, I understand that we also can't necessarily always get everything we want immediately, and sometimes you need to get there incrementally. So that means sometimes you need to do things like throw in a public option. Let people have a sample of what it might be like to have a government plan that you buy into with your taxes, and then have people be, oh, we're really happy with this. We love this. This is great. And then more people will go over to that way, and then more insurance companies will close, and then more people will have to get, be brought on by the government to handle the claims or whatever. And, you would slowly progress over to there. So, Alyosha goes half capitalist, half socialist, maybe. I mean, that's what you'd have if you had a public option in the Affordable Care Act. You would have capitalism still existing in the health insurance market, but then people would be able to opt into a more socialist type of plan. And then those people would probably be the proof that it works, and as such, it's better. Doctors told me during the pandemic, like they were loving how more people got on Medicaid, because they were able to actually help their patients and give them what they needed to get the care that they needed and not have to jump through all of these corporate administrative loopholes. And then once they started going back to private insurance, these procedures that were needed would no longer be covered. And don't I know that, again, I'm still struggling to get my Zepbound. So anyway. Jen says, I crashed out after work and missed After Dark. It was all right. I didn't do everything that I said I was going to do with After Dark, but last night I still have some kinks to work out. Not kinks in that way, but I still have some issues to work out as it pertains to that. Anyway, hey, Karen, good to see you. The Goddess Kimchi, good to see you as well. Janelle, thank you for being here. Yeah, Jen, exactly. Yes, indeed. So, what do we want to talk about first here? There's, I haven't quite yet, I used to do this thing called headlines. And I used to just make funny, like, it was just the bit, it was to start the show off with headlines. Like, here's this week's headlines, and we'll have some funny takes on everything. Well, I don't have that fully thing yet, but I did want to have a really frank discussion here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. And by frank, I mean hot dog or wiener. Because the Wienermobile got stuck in a tunnel.
Oh, my.
And so they were having problems figuring out how to pull the wiener out of the tunnel. So I think maybe they should have tried pouring some cold water on it. Maybe that would have caused a little bit of shrinkage. The rescue crew arrived and they had a plan. Just slowly back it out, but don't make eye contact. The driver said, I swear this has never happened before. And the tunnel responded, that's what they all say. It wouldn't be the first time that a guy misjudged the size of his wiener, but usually it's an overestimation and not an underestimation. They do say if your wiener is stuck in the tunnel for more than 4 hours, that you should call a mechanic. Maybe the driver should have just tried just the tip first. And then apparently Melania heard about what happened and got very jealous of the tunnel. Anyway, so that's the wiener. That's the story about the Wienermobile. Chris Daly goes, I've done that. You're welcome, Dawn. Appreciate you. Oh, I was going to record that part too. Darn it. Maybe I'll record this one and not record the other, and we'll talk about the other one. Anyway, do you know about the bird? I should start actually recording it if I want to actually record it. Do you know about the bird that's called the Paris Major? It's the animal kingdom, phylum of Chordata, class Avis or birds, order of Passiformis, perching birds or songbirds of the family of Paridae, genus Paris, species Paris Major, otherwise known as the great tit. Great tits are among the most widespread and well-studied birds.
Oh, my.
They are found across Europe, North Africa, Middle East, and parts of Central Asia. They inhabit forest, parks, gardens, and urban woodlands. Great tits are small. That's a matter of opinion, I guess, to some people. They're lightweight, omnivorous, and cavity nesters, so they usually use tree holes or nest boxes. They are famous in ecology because they are a calendar species. Scientists have tracked their breeding timing for decades. The reproduction is closely tied to seasonal events, particularly the spring emergence of caterpillars. So here's the thing. Great tits are at risk from climate change. Climate change could put great tits at risk.
Oh my.
So they're currently not considered endangered, thank goodness. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, lists the great tit as least concern, meaning the species is not currently at high risk of extinction. However, scientists have found climate change is creating serious ecological pressures on the community of great tits, especially by disrupting the timing relationship between great tits and what great tits eat. The biggest threat, the caterpillar mismatch. Great tits raise their chicks on insects, specifically or especially caterpillars. Caterpillars are extremely nutritious and provide the protein needed for fast-growing chicks. Historically, spring temperatures increased. Trees would produce young leaves, caterpillars hatched and peaked, and then the great tits laid eggs so that chicks arrived when the caterpillars were abundant. But climate change has altered this sequence. Warmer springs can cause trees to leaf out earlier, caterpillars will emerge earlier, and then the birds will miss this peak food window for their baby chicks. So the parents may be feeding chicks after the caterpillar boom has passed. Chicks may get less food, and then fewer of the great tits may survive. And scientists will call this a phenological mismatch. So, again, what does the research show? So one of the most famous long-term studies comes from the Netherlands. Researchers have monitored the great tits in the Netherlands at the National Park Hoge Veluwe. I apologize if I get that one wrong. Scientists found that spring temperatures have risen, caterpillar peaks have shifted earlier, great tits have adjusted their breeding timing, but not always fast enough. And in some years, breeding success declines when birds cannot match the new timing. So are great tits in decline? Answer is not as easy as one might think. Unlike certain specialists that require very specific habitats and habitats, great tits are generalists. They are adaptable. They can live in cities, food boxes, they eat many foods, and they tolerate human environments. So those traits can give some natural protection. Some populations show declines in breeding success. Extreme heat events can harm adults and chicks. Drought can reduce insect availability. Earlier springs can increase the food timing problem. So why do scientists care about great tits? Not just that they're great to look at, but bird watchers like to look at birds, right? So they are called a sentinel species by scientists because they reveal changes are happening throughout the ecosystems. Like they're like a canary in a coal mine, so to speak, except they're not canaries, they're great tits. A great tit struggling to feed chicks may indicate that insects are changing their life cycles, forests are changing, seasons are becoming less predictable. So great tits are at the risk of climate change, but not in the same facet of other ones that are close to extinction. But the thing that I think we should take out of all this is that if we want Donald Trump to get on the side of environmentalism, all you have to do is tell that child that great tits are being threatened by climate change, so he needs to do something to protect the great tits. And Donald Trump would be like, well, definitely, let's get on board. I'm going to stop hating the windmills, and I'm going to go for solar energy because I love the great tits. Nobody has great tits better than the United States, so we're going to protect all the great tits in the country. And that's my little story about the great tits. Anyway, so I spent 5 minutes just to get to that entire punchline. So, yeah, Bell Fat Bob, oh my. So, Good to see you, Dean. What else? So I hope y'all enjoyed that. I mean, I know y'all go to Hal, and Hal is a professional comedian, and I just, have a podcast from time to time or 3 days a week, but I do like to think that I can bring the funny occasionally. Aaron's like, oh, Dan. And I'm like,
Oh my.
exactly. Alyosha Canary in the coal mine by the police. Let's see, atrocious in every game. Let's see, and imagine if Joe Biden had made several comments that sounded like an incredible deal, like sexual innuendo. I wonder what would have happened at that point. I wonder.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Chris Daly, that was good. Penny to create, you do make us chuckle. Well, I appreciate that. It's an exhibition, not a competition, so no wagering. Unless you're on what, Polymarket or whatever? To maybe more kinkier folks, Polymarket might be something more like, where you go to find an additional girlfriend on top of the ones you're already dating. But let's see what else. We did not get enough rain this winter. Everything is slow coming back. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so I just had I wanted to have a good, funny time with those two. And it wasn't dirty enough to make it have to go on Liberal Dan After Dark. I was like, all right, let's keep it just enough so that I can establish what we're talking about with great tits. So, anyway. What else are we going to talk about today? Well, somebody said something about a contest. Something is not a contest, sure. But there was a contest that took place this year. This contest that took place this year was the Presidential 1776 Award. And this is from ed.gov, the Department of Education. Presidential 1776 Award, the ultimate civics showdown, hey, to air on CBS on June 30th. Tonight, the Presidential 1776 Award, the ultimate civics showdown, will air from 8 to 9:30 Eastern on CBS Television Network and available to stream tomorrow on Paramount Plus. Hosted by television host and entertainment personality Mario Lopez, the national finals mark the conclusion of the first ever Presidential 1776 Award competition, a nationwide civics challenge created to celebrate America's top high school students and their knowledge of our nation's founding principles. Tonight, we have the privilege of celebrating some of America's most exceptional young minds as they take the national stage in the Presidential 1776 Award Finals, said U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. Of course, Linda McMahon's going to have a reality TV show-like thing, considering she comes from the world of fucking wrestling. Created as part of our nation's semi-quincentennial celebrations, this award recognizes students who have demonstrated a deep understanding of America's founding principles and enthusiasm for learning America's story. What better way to celebrate 250 years of this great nation than by honoring those who will carry on us into the next 250? So, we really get to see, oh, not that. Did we really get to learn about and did we really get to see, the best people out there, the best people possible, the people who could absolutely, let us, and, basically the people in are going to earn a scholarship. If you win this thing, if you're one of the winners, you're going to have a share of a $250,000 scholarship fund. Now, I mean, if you're actually going to believe what happened, if you're going to believe the whole story about this, and believe that you're actually going to get the money, then I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. But this story is more about Angad Singh. So this individual right here is who this story is about. Because this is the person who a lot of people, including the contestants, believed should have won. America's finest young scholars competed to mark the country's birthday, led to a disputed finish in the age of mistrust, according to Notice.org. News of the United States. Morning after the competition, Angad Singh's family was trying to figure out what went wrong. They were walking through the National Museum of Natural History, going over answers and doing the math. His mom, Ramandeep, said it doesn't make sense. Ramandeep was good at numbers, but couldn't make them explain how her 15-year-old son, I was shocked when I saw he was 15 years old, he has quite a beard for a 15-year-old, had missed the top 3 in the presidential 1776 award competition. I'm frankly surprised they didn't call it the Donald Trump 1776 award competition, because he has to put his name on every goddamn thing. Civics contest for high schoolers that President Trump's party planners had created to celebrate America's 250th birthday. She watched the first round, then the field was whittled from 20 to 8, and the second round went from 8 to 3. There was celebrity host Mario Lopez, an exclusive broadcast deal with CBS. Only thing that was missing was a scoreboard. She told herself not to complain. She didn't want to be that mom, a sore loser whose kid could never fail on their way out. Other parents kept stopping them. One or more than one said that they were shocked. Later, a boy stopped her and said a group of contestants had kept score themselves and said, "We thought he won." She approached an official from the Department of Education, which had helped run the contest, and asked for the final scores. The answer was that they are proprietary. This is a federal government-run operation. How are the scores proprietary? As in the museum, Ramandeep, the mother, furrowed a brow. How did they count the numbers? That is something that we need to understand. And he goes, we can only find that out when they broadcast it, or whatever, said her husband, Balindar. Ramandeep pursed her lips. The broadcast was 3 weeks away. Wasn't like them to feel skeptical. Both of them were Indian immigrants whose trust in the American system had led to degrees, careers, and citizenships. They bought a 4-bedroom colonial in a quiet Connecticut city and sent their kids to public school. They passed their faith in the United States down to Angad, who won awards for his speeches about the country's founding ideals. But now they, like so many others, are wondering whether the game was rigged. It was a reluctant half step into the age of suspicion. The U.S. was just one of many democratic nations riding the same wave of paranoia. And God's parents didn't want to accuse anyone of fixing the competition, but they felt compelled to ask questions because their son never would. When his mom dropped him off for the first day of kindergarten, he didn't cry, although she could tell he wanted to. So for years, the story served as tidy summation of her son, a rule follower who hid his emotions, an intellectual who didn't mind having more books than friends, but at some point she figured out how to tell he was upset. He would take little sips of water over and over and over again. And shortly after noon, they left the museum, went to a cafe. When Angad opened the door, he ran into the blonde girl from Wyoming, Miriam Washut, who he was pretty sure had won the whole thing. She must be headed to the White House for a special tour, he thought. Her father, wearing a black cowboy hat, stuck out his hand. You did extremely well, he said. Thank you, said Angad. Angad turned to Miriam, whose eyes dropped to the floor, her voice pitched up. She waved her hands at her sides. That was insane. You clearly knew everything, she said. Angad nodded, face blank, and then Miriam's family went on their way. Father asked what she say. He said that I should have won. Nobody said anything for a few weeks, and then he took a small sip of water. 3 weeks later, Angad's family took positions in the living room. His dad was on one couch, laptop open with a spreadsheet, 1776 broadcast audit. I'm very impressed. That's quite the nerdy way to do things. I mean, if I was going to do that, I would absolutely be doing the same thing. I would absolutely be just like his dad. I'd have the laptop open. I'd have my spreadsheet open. I'd be ready to take notes. His mom was on the edge of the other couch, drumming her right foot like a kick pedal, and God said he was between them, lying on a recliner with his feet up, talking to his little sister. So they had visited an uncle in Toronto to visit that. Not necessarily that important. It began online with the impossible civics test, Mario Lopez said, and everyone in the room stopped talking. CBS didn't show the round of 20 and cut the opening speech from Linda McMahon. So broadcast would include a live scoreboard so they could see where things went wrong, but the first segment sped by without one. His uncle's like, why aren't they showing scores? Then the second segment sped by 2. What's the score? Said Angad. I don't know, the dad says. The show is going so fast and commentary in the living room was too loud for him to keep up. Angad knew he'd been behind at this point. He won the buzzer race only once in 8 questions, but the final 2 segments were more valuable, and he knew he'd done well. On the third segment, each contestant would stand alone at a lectern to answer multi-part questions about the Constitution. Then each of the 5 judges would grade it. He watched the contestants. The boy from Michigan got a full 20 points. The girl from Washington did too. So did the girl from Wyoming. According to Article 3 of the Constitution, in which cases do the federal courts have jurisdiction? List at least 4 for full credit. As he answered, little summary boxes popped up on the screen. Maritime jurisdiction, he got a green. Parties of state and citizens of another state, red, that's green. And God says, what? He got 2 more green boxes and another red, a case with a state and foreign nation. He was very confused because this is clearly, in the Constitution. And God says, read this right now. His dad read it. It's within the Constitution. At the end of the segment, scoreboard flashed on screen. Michigan was first with 23 points. God was 6th with 16. And then he took a small sip from the water bottle. They made this whole thing for show. His uncle said they knew who they wanted to win. Final challenge was a lightning round. Each contestant had 30 seconds to answer as many questions as possible. Michigan got 10. Washington got 10. Wyoming got 10. God came to the stage. First question flashed on the monitor. Which amendment ended slavery? He answered 13th, and the screen said it was incorrect. And God said on the couch, and he was crying, I said 13th. After that, the TV started playing, and the nights he practiced, blah, blah, blah. He proceeded the questions instantly and answered almost without thinking. The screen said +2, +2, +2. And God got 1 more wrong, but watching from the couch, he didn't protest. He saw now the judges had wanted a more technical answer. At the end, the judges marked 12 answers correct, and he thought he must have sounded like he pronounced 13th like 14th. I do say 13th with an F sound, but the auto-generated subtitles actually said 13th. So the people who made the subtitles knew that he said 13th, but the judges marked him wrong. Before Mario Lopez revealed the top 3, he walked around the stage and interviewed every contestant. And then they introduced Donald Trump or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They watched the rest of the program in quiet, and the people stood by the resolute desk. Now, here are the people that won. There's Linda McMahon, there's Donald Trump, there's Mario Lopez, and her, and him. Now, do you believe that this was rigged? Do you believe that Donald Trump wanted certain people to win and didn't want other people to win? Do you think that Donald Trump might have had a problem with somebody with the name of Angad being there, standing next to him? Now, it wouldn't be the first time that Donald Trump was reported to be uncomfortable with folks who are not white. Now, this is an allegation, and I'm not saying, so we just go by the reports, but there was a New York Times report in March of 2026. Ricky Berea, Chief of Staff to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, said whatever to Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, and the reported quote was, Trump does not want to sit next to a black female officer or stand next to a black female officer. Discussion would involve the promotion of Major General Antoinette Gant to the command of Military District of Washington, whose commander frequently appears beside the president during military ceremonies. The Pentagon has disputed the report. Berea denied making the statement. However, many people reported it to be true, and, well, we all know that this administration is a white supremacist administration. Another one, we've covered this on the show already, blocking promotions of black officers. According to the New York Times and later reporting, Hegseth personally removed 4 officers from a promotion list, 2 of whom are black, 2 of whom are women. Senior officials reportedly questioned whether race or gender played a role. Pentagon officials denied that race was a factor. But again, do we believe anything that comes from this administration? NBC News later reported more than a dozen senior officers had promotions delayed or blocked, and many of them were also black, aka they were not white. And as we saw, the three kids standing next to him were white kids. This administration is all about pushing white supremacy and fuck everybody else. What was Donald Trump with? They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets, all that crap that he does, all the racism that he ran on. I mean, he has a history of racism over and over and over again. It should be no surprise that his administration also has a history of racism. If you really want to go into it, Linda McMahon and the McMahon family also has a history of racism. Like, they would not put the WWE Championship belt on a black person for a very long time. And the first one they put it on happened to be half black, half Samoan. It took a very long time for the WWE Heavyweight Championship to be held by a black person. And that was pretty recently, relatively speaking. So again, I'm not surprised that if you have racism coming from the McMahon family and you have racism coming from the Trump family, then 2 and 2 together, they're going to fit like 2 peas in a pod, right? So we here, or by we here, I mean I, on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right, have decided to do something. I have filed 3 separate Freedom of Information requests to the Department of Education because I want this to be a start of potentially something. I want to see if I get a response. I want to see what that response is, and I want to see if it holds water and if we would then at some point have to take some future action. So, first Freedom of Information request. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, I request copies of records related to the scoring and judging procedures used for the 2026 Presidential 1776 Award National Civics Competition, also referred to as the Ultimate Civic Showdown. The request is limited to records created, received, or maintained by the Department of Education or its contractors in connection with the completed 2026 national competition. I request the following records: the final scoring rubric, any judge instructions, scoring guides, evaluation criteria, or written procedures provided to the judges or scoring personnel, the official answer key, accepted answer criteria, grading standards for used for knowledge-based questions, any written procedures describing how points to be awarded or deducted, how contestant rankings were calculated, how finalists were selected, how ties or disputed answers were handled. Any records explaining changes, corrections, or revisions made to the scoring rules, answer keys, or judging criteria before, during, or after the competition, and any records explaining or asserting that the scoring methodology, rubric, judging criteria, or answer key was considered proprietary, including emails, memoranda, legal analysis, or internal guidance. If any requested records contain information exempt from disclosure, please provide all reasonably segregable, non-exempt portions and identify specific FOIA exemption relied on for each withheld portion. I request electronic delivery of responsive records. I said I'm willing to pay up to $50 in fees. Please notify before exceeding this amount. Of course, on the paid page, I put $25, but I shouldn't have to pay anything because I'm a media organization, technically, because I am Liberal Dan Radio LLC, so I'm an independent media person, and as such, I'm with electronic delivery. According to the rules of the Department of Education, I should get it for free. We'll see, but I'll spend the money to see if I can get it. So, second one. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, I request records concerning contracts, agreements, vendor relationships associated with the 2026 Presidential 1776 Award National Civics Competition. I request all of the following records: all contracts, task orders, purchase orders, statements of work, and agreements between the Department of Education and any contractor, vendor, consultant, or outside organization involved in designing the questions, creating the scoring methodology, judging criteria, administering the competition, evaluating contestant responses, and producing or broadcasting the event. 2, records identifying any contractor or outside organization responsible for creating or administrating the scoring system. 3, any provisions in contracts or agreements addressing ownership of scoring materials, intellectual property rights, confidentiality restrictions, government rights to disclose materials, any communications between the department and the contractors discussing whether scoring materials, rubrics, answer keys, or judging procedures could be publicly released, any legal opinions, memoranda, or written guidance regarding whether scoring methodology or related materials should be treated as proprietary. If any requested records are withheld, please provide the legal basis for withholding and releasing all reasonably segregable portions. Again, same ending. And then the third one I suggest was or asked for pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. I request the following records: communications between Department of Education employees concerning contestant or parent inquiries about scoring results, communications concerning requests for score sheets, judge records, scoring explanations, answer keys, competition rankings, communications referencing Anand Singh in connection with scoring advancement decisions, contestant rankings, requests for review. 4, communications discussing media inquiries or public reporting regarding concerns about competition scoring. 5, communications containing the terms proprietary scoring methodology, score sheet, answer key, Anand Singh, and 1776 award, ultimate civics showdown. So I submitted all these 3. Now, here's the thing. Do I believe that I'm going to get a truthful and honest answer from the Trump administration? Absolutely not. But since I don't trust the corporate media to do their goddamn jobs and question this administration properly, we have to do it ourselves here as independent media folks. So that's why we're doing this. Because I don't buy for one damn second that anything about this competition should be considered proprietary. It's a federal government event. It's held by the federal government. They should not be able to claim that any of this is secret. I understand some government things are held secret, classified, top secret, etc., because, there are things about national security that you don't want getting out to everybody. I understand that. But this is not that. This is clearly an example of something that should be releasable, that we should know everything about it, because, again, it was an event in celebration, supposedly, of our anniversary, the 250th anniversary of this country. It's being pushed and promoted and ran by, the federal government. Yes, they had Mario Lopez as whatever his role was as the host or whatever. Awesome. Thank you, AC Slater, for your help. But there's no way in hell that this should be considered to be proprietary information, and there's no way in hell that they should be able to hide this information. So we are going to try and hold their feet to the fire, and we're going to see what happens. So obviously there's going to be at least one more episode on this topic once I get responses back on my Freedom of Information requests. So we will see. But what do you think? Do you think that, all of this is just making a mountain out of a molehill? Do you believe I'm looking for racism where none exists, looking for bigotry where none exists? Or do you believe that Donald Trump did not want to be seen standing there next to a guy wearing a turban, and as such, only wanted white kids standing next to him, so they rigged the competition? And wouldn't it be ironic for Donald Trump, who claims about rigged this, rigged that, rigged this, rigged that, would be the one who would be rigging a competition for children trying to share their love of knowledge and history of this country? If it turns out that that's the case, I don't know how MAGA people could look at themselves. I don't know how MAGA people can look themselves at the mirror anyway, as it pertains to all this whole administration. But to use your hatred on kids, it takes a special, sick, twisted son of a bitch to do that. Simple as that. Make sure to hit the right button this time, because last time I'd hit the wrong button, and we ended the show early and then came right back, but we still ended the show early. Can you imagine if Biden hit the wrong button?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Let's see. Go back to the comment section. Blah, 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 blah. Josh C's earlier said, how about an insect shout out for lightning bugs? Yeah, I haven't seen lightning bugs in for damn ever. What the hell happened to the lightning bugs? Let's see what else. Maybe just not something down here. I used to see him in Maryland all the time, but trying to see. Karen Ames goes, I hate spiders. They love to bite me. I have 6 different bandages with meds on them right now for bites. God damn. I also hate spiders too. There was one time where I squealed and like freaked because I had this spider and I went to go smack the spider and it was pregnant and all these little tiny baby spiders came out and I was like, ah! But yeah. So, let's see what else. Very few comments about the the Rantler. Mario Lopez would host the opening of a Dollar General if there's a camera there. So yeah, exactly. I mean, anybody runs for the money, right? I mean, maybe that's why he loves him so much. Let's see. DB Golding says, I'm very suspect for sure. Lib Dan's Web. DB Golding, stop pushing wrong buttons. It happens from time to time, right? See, in before the scholarship money is denominated in Melania coin. Yeah, pretty much. For example, when he and his dad were sued for refusing to rent to black people, exactly, or badly injured veterans, exactly. So, white supremacy and surrounding himself with sexual predators. Can you imagine if Biden had surrounded himself with sexual predators?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Kimchi says, well done, Dan. Most thorough. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's, I did see one article on this or whatever, but I haven't really seen any major news. I mean, maybe I missed some of it talking about it. I don't know. But we're absolutely, I would love to be able to get the family on, but maybe when I know more information, I'll try and invite the family on to try and talk about it. I don't know. But when you start hearing other people talking about this, say, well, Liberal Dan Radio talked about this first. And maybe because I've recorded that as a separate video, when I upload that eventually to YouTube, which should be tomorrow probably at some point, just share that on social media and let them know, hey, this is a very, story that, maybe is compelling, maybe, Donald Trump using his white supremacy to harm kids, maybe push people in the right direction and get them to the channel, and maybe we'll get some more support, and maybe with more support, we can put more attention on this and the many other subjects that need the attention that the corporate news media won't give because they don't want to lose access to Donald. Hey, Joe Gibson, what's going on? We just talked about you yesterday, at some point yesterday, in a good way, mind you. We brought you up in a good way. Since, you stopped supporting Trump. That's a good thing. Anyway, I should have played the one earlier because when we were talking about the whole great tits thing, and I was like, if we can get Donald Trump to stop, whatever. If we can get Donald Trump to actually, support environmental change and, actually want to fight climate change because climate change is affecting the birds called the great tits, maybe he would actually stop being against the windmills.
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
Anyway, Orb Rumor, let's see, 1966, The Who, Boris the Spider, Can I Get a Daltrey Scream? There you go. That was your answer. Your answer was, yeah! Anyway, so, bloop, bloop, bloop. Let's bring this one up as well. Again, thank you everybody for joining Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. Live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central after Hal's show. Sometimes a little bit after, sometimes a lot after, depending on when Hal ends. Sometimes Hal and I overlap. It's fine. you know, whatever. As old Donald Trump says,
It is what it is.
thank you, Donnie Boy. But anywho, but yeah, so just, you know, make sure to subscribe to the channel, comment on videos, share videos, get into conversations on the videos. Any bit of the algorithm helps, and as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Anywho, so as we heard towards the end of Hal's show, and he was talking a little bit about the proposed U.S. and Saudi nuclear agreement. It's become controversial. It will permit Saudi Arabia to develop parts of the nuclear fuel cycle that previous administrations tried to prevent allies from obtaining. As of today, the deal's future has become uncertain because Donald Trump announced it would only move forward if Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accords and recognizes Israel. Now, some of the research that I've done on this kind of shows that other presidents have also wanted that as a condition for Saudi Arabia, but because Trump has the, you know, the special Abraham Accords that, you know, give a little side eye to, and not that it does much of anything, but, you know, that he wants them to join in on the Abraham Accords, but that probably might make them be like, well, maybe not. So the agreement is known as the 1-2-3 agreement because Trump can't count to 4, right? No, it's named after Section 123 of the U.S. Atomic Energy Act. These agreements establish the legal framework allowing the United States to share civilian nuclear technology with another country. Without one, American companies generally cannot sell reactors, nuclear fuel, or much of the associated technology. Saudi Arabia has long wanted to build multiple commercial nuclear reactors, reduce its dependence on oil for energy, for electricity at least, develop its own domestic nuclear industry, and mine and process its own uranium. Saudi Arabia has a significant uranium deposits and has repeatedly argued it should have the same right as any other nation to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes. Historically, the U.S. has preferred what's called the so-called gold standard. Countries receiving nuclear technology agree to never enrich uranium, never reprocess spent fuel, and import reactor fuel instead. Best known example is the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia has refused those restrictions. Instead, this agreement reportedly allows Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium inside the kingdom under certain conditions. Again, uranium enrichment. Natural uranium only contains about 0.7% uranium-235 for different purposes, 3 to 5% enrichment for nuclear power plants, 20% for research reactors, and 90% is needed for nuclear weapons. Why enrichment capability is often called a latent or breakout nuclear capability. Supposedly the safeguards that are included, again, this is administration officials saying this, so we believe administration officials with a grain of salt. There's a peaceful use requirement, IAEA monitoring. Where have we seen IAEA monitoring before? Maybe that was in the Obama-Iran deal with the nuclear weapons that Trump ripped up to shreds. U.S. involvement in reactor construction, congressional review before the final implementation, a feasibility phase before major construction begins. I wonder if the firm that is going to be supporting that, that's going to be investing in a lot of these projects is going to be the 1789 investment firm or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Let's look that up real quick just to make sure we have that right. 1789 Capital. It's called 1789 Capital. Of course, one of the members of the team of the 1789 Capital, a partner, is Donald Trump Jr. So, and over the last 2 years, most, firms like this that invest, hedge funds or whatever, most firms like this have seen about 21% growth on average. In the same period of time, that hedge fund, the 1789 Capital, has performed at 200%, which that should be raised. If any other administration, if you had the Biden administration ignoring one particular firm, like if there was a firm that was run by Hunter Biden that was investing in companies, and those companies that they were investing in because they were involved in government contracts, if that would have happened under Joe Biden, conservatives would have screamed because
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
But no, apparently it's quite okay for the MAGA folks to be, you know, for them to be able to do this, what should normally be considered illegal by, you know, insider trading rules, you know, corrupt information sharing, you know, telling Don Jr. what's going to happen. You know, and this is going to happen on Truth Social as well, apparently, because if you invest, I guess, enough or pay into Truth Social, you'll be able to get Donald Trump's tweets before everybody else. So Donald Trump could tweet about something like, you know, oh, I don't know, a tariff that he's going to impose on a certain market. And then you can go in and short that market. Short whatever. And then that market gets tanked. You sell it afterwards. You make money. Because you had purchased information from Donald Trump's Truth Social and had it from the president's mouth before he actually sent it to everybody else. Again, his entire presidency is a grift, and his family also is cashing in on that grift, which is why, in my opinion, 1789 Capital has made 200% gains while everybody else is about 20% gains. Critics are worried about this because it omits the IAEA additional protocol. Experts note that Saudi Arabia would not be required to adopt the additional protocol, which allows inspectors much broader access, including surprise inspections, which is something that would have happened for Iran under Obama's deal. And non-proliferation experts view it as a significant weakening of standards. Of course, you know, with Jared Kushner having, you know, multi-billion-dollar deals with the Saudis, aka Donald Trump's son-in-law, with that happening, with, you know, all the other corrupt shenanigans going on in the Middle East with Donald Trump and how he's used the manipulation of the markets to enrich himself and make himself a whole shit ton of money during this presidency. Adding tariffs, removing tariffs. Oh, we're going to bomb Iran. Oh, we're not going to bomb Iran. Oh, we're going to bomb Iran. Oh, we're not going to bomb Iran. Causing markets to fluctuate, and meanwhile, all the people who are in the know get to abuse their information that they know because they're tightly closed in with the administration, and then they get to make bank. We can't do that. We'd probably be arrested if we did any of this shit that's going on, but because Don Jr. does it, it must be okay too, right? And then if Saudi Arabia can enrich uranium, other countries like the UAE, Egypt, and Turkey would probably want the same ability to do just that as well. And of course, today, Israel manages to get fit into this whole thing by basically them saying, well, in order for you to do this, you need to respect Israel and join the beautiful Abraham Accords. But Saudi Arabia has said repeatedly that it won't normalize relations with Israel without substantial progress toward a Palestinian state. Notice, though, that Israel's never required to recognize the Palestinian state. And maybe that could be used as a cudgel to get Israel, the Israeli government, to do the right thing and recognize a Palestinian state. But, you know, that's never going to happen when you have Trump as president and Netanyahu as prime minister of Israel. So you need to yeet both of them in order for anything like that to happen. Because I don't think there's a single state, one state solution that's going to fix everything because there's too much bad blood there. But get the government of Israel to behave properly and to stop stealing land from Palestinians. And starting to recognize and allow them to have the ability to govern themselves and maybe, you know, pay reparations to all the carpet bombing that you did in response to 10/7, needlessly killing a whole bunch of people. That's why Donald Trump probably loves Netanyahu, because they're both responsible for the needless deaths of thousands. So, and again, remember though, back during Trump's first term, journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was a Saudi journalist but a U.S. resident, columnist for the Washington Post, He was murdered inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in October 2018 by Saudi agents. And then immediately after he disappeared, Trump goes, if Saudi Arabia were responsible, there would be severe punishment. Was there severe punishment? No, there was not. He declined to impose major penalties on Saudi Arabia or Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, arguing that maintaining U.S.-Saudi relationships, including arms sales and cooperation against Iran, was in America's interest. So he talks a big talk, but then he weakened out. Now, this might actually be a circumstance of Trump actually chickening out. Because in most particular cases, it's not him chickening out, it's him conning others. Trump always cons others. But in this case, he clearly chickened out. So look at that with whatever grains of salt or suspicion that you might have. And of course, there's the other issue of a lot of people are bringing up the Saudis in relation to 9/11. Hold on. I see. JN2287. We need a just society that follows through on prosecuting international war criminals, domestic criminals, etc. I agree with you 100%. Darkly yours, I would call it Abuse of Wealth Act. Any party retaining a morbidly wealthy status found using said wealth to the detriment of their people is subject to being relieved of said wealth. Yeah. I mean, sometimes legally, I think that's referred to as a clawback, where if you gain money unethically, illegally, or whatever, that they can claw back the money and take it back and redistribute it back to where it should be. Now, I don't trust that anybody would be able to get their money clawed back during the Trump administration, which is why we need to get rid of the Trump administration. So, Chris Daly goes, wait till the revolution. Viva la revolution! Or, as in Hamilton, to the revolution. Let's see. And of course, while Donald Trump makes all this money, somebody brought up affordability in the chat, Donald Trump makes all this money, they also mock the whole affordability thing as they rake in billions and billions and billions of dollars. See, Mr. Global had a post today explaining today's 6% oil rise. It's all of the peoples that shorted oil. And why did they short oil? Because Trump's threatening to bomb again. So, actually, where is it? Would the bombing cause it to short? I don't know. But they're manipulating the market. I'll just say it that way. Again, I have a pretty decent understanding of what shorting is, and still sometimes I get it wrong because to me it should be something that doesn't exist. You should never be able to do that in the stock market. It's pure market manipulation. Shorting a stock is ridiculous. Should not be allowed to happen. But they do it because, that's all playing with other people's money. It literally is playing with other people's money. So, see, no harm in discussing where we should be while we are obviously in a place where we should not be. Well, yeah, you have to see yourself where you want to be in order to set the course to that direction, right? So, anyway, this whole administration is just absolutely absurd. And I don't understand how anybody can continue to still support them. If frickin' Joe Gibson can decide to no longer support Donald Trump, then everybody else should be able to do as well. If Marjorie Taylor Greene can decide that she's no longer supporting him, there's no reason why anybody else can't come to that conclusion as well. Hell, even frickin' Candace Owens, Hitler-loving Candace Owens. Because I heard her words clearly stated that if Hitler had only kept his desires to inside of Germany and only wanted to make Germany great again, that it would have been okay. It wouldn't have been a problem. So, yeah, she was fine with Hitler doing whatever he was doing as long as he kept it within Germany. But even she doesn't like the Trump family and views them as grifters at this point. So, if all of those people can come to their senses and understand how, at least on Trump, there's no excuse for anybody else not coming to their damn senses as well. So, Beatles had a few songs about revolution. Then again, those Moscow girls made them sing that shout. And Georgia was always on their my mind. I've done back in the USSR at karaoke as well. I don't like the Revolution number 9 song, but I do like the standard Revolution. They say you want a revolution, well, Anyway, so See, I'm from the land of Sonny Bean, Mr. Geen. It's all clue, all about have been rhyming names and no one's noticed. Aye, lad. Let's see. DB Golding. Yes, exactly. It's gambling on insider trading. But is it really gambling if it's insider trading? If you know what's going to happen, is it really gambling? Is it gambling if you stack the deck? Is it gambling if you load the dice? Is it gambling if you rig the system to your benefit? No, it's not. If you know what's going to happen and you bet and you put an investment on it, it's not a bet, it's not a gamble, it's, a sure thing. That's why it's not illegal. Or Boomer, I got Dan's number except for number 9. Only number 9 I like is Love Potion number 9. Dean, I may be the only person alive who enjoys Revolution number 9. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. If you purchase advance access to his posts on his scummy social platform. Exactly. You get the advance access, you get the ability to know what's going to happen and be able to put a stock market maneuver on it. So good night, Suzanne. Thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate you as always. Let's see. It's 9:06. So I do have some stuff to do today because, again, my kids are out of town again for this week till Monday. And as such, I need to do the stuff that my kids normally do. Like, I did the dishes earlier before the show, but I also need to, like, take all the trash out and stuff like that. Gather the trash up to be collected and to be tossed out. So, not tossed off, but tossed out. It's probably all people across the pond.
Oh my.
I love vegans for breakfast. Gotta start off healthy. Hilarious. Anyway, let's go ahead and move this stuff up here because we've been doing a couple of... I do have a couple of things to actually edit as well. Where the hell did that go? There it is. Let's turn this volume off for a brief second. And I've been doing unraveling toxic masculinity reactions as well to this longer video. But because this longer video, we have to do it in segments. So I'm trying to do one segment every show. Why are we getting another ad? This is so stupid. At least y'all don't have to hear it. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Trying to get this to be done. Da-ba-da-ba-doo. Doobie-doobie-doo. Let's see. I don't know if I want to deal with that one. So let's pull it back and not... No, we're not going to look at that one. Let's see what the other subjects are. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. This one looks interesting. Or not interesting or whatever, but this one looks like it's one that could be dealt with. So again, we are doing another example of coming to terms, not coming to terms, I'm sorry. Let's start back over again. We are doing another video, another reaction video to unraveling toxic masculinity. And so we've been covering a couple of these clips from this 1 versus 20 with the anti-manosphere versus the pro-manosphere person. The pro-manosphere people, this guy is one of the examples of people from the manosphere. And we are going to be responding to this one. This one is like the last segment of the bunch, which is about women caring more about looks than personality, which is a vastly overstatement and generalization. I'm sure there are some women who care more about looks than personality, just as there are some men who care more about looks than personality, as there are some non-binary folks who care about looks over personality. But, you know, these manosphere types are always about bashing women and complaining, so whatever. And before we start, because I watched like 1 or 2 of the like short segments of the earlier one. I haven't watched any of this. I have not yet watched any of this. So all of this stuff is going to be new to me. I am absolutely waiting for them. Things that they could talk about that I'm waiting for them to say that are the typical things that they say is either complaining about, you know, how, oh, women like guys that are 6'3". Yeah, again, my wife, as I said in another video, my wife absolutely, if you name a celebrity that she likes, you look up that celebrity, a lot of the times that celebrity is 6'3". So yeah, she does something about 6'3", makes the guy, you know, oh my God, 6'3", nice and tall, yada, yada, yada. But I'm 6 feet. She married me. We're married almost 20 years at this point. One more to go before 20. So clearly the height doesn't matter. And then, of course, there's the whole nice guy thing. Well, women always say that they want a nice guy, but then they go for the attractive guy, and I'm a nice guy. Well, first of all, again, women aren't a sex vending machine where you put niceness coins in and get sex in return. No, you should be nice to people because that's just how you should be. And if somebody doesn't want to date you because you're nice, it's because they're also not attracted to you. And there's an implication there. When somebody says, I just wish I could find a nice man to date, for most people, that includes the assumption of who I am also physically attracted to. Some people, looks don't matter, and they're purely personality-based. But they're not just going to marry the guy for his looks. For the most part, they're going to marry the guy because they share lots of things in common, including a mutual sexual attraction. So let's go ahead and see what these people have to talk about. Let's see. Pam says men are more visually fixated than women. I know a lot of women that will check out people and be like, ooh. But still, I mean, I don't not like doing generalizations of anybody. So anyway, let's continue. Let's start at least looking at this whole thing about women caring more about looks than personality.
You were like, it was really getting good, and then you got voted off.
My name is Will.
Nice to meet you.
My surrounding claim is that women care more about looks than personality.
For a second, I was like, why do they have the E in women slashed through? I'm like, oh, that's just the part on the microphone here or something. I was like, it was very weirdly placed. I don't know. Anyway. So Will claims this. So let's.
What makes you say that?
All these things that you've been talking about, that you need to be authentic with your partner, your girlfriend, or whatever, the date you're on. Like when.
I mean, I have a hard time thinking that these men have partners because they don't view their people that they're in relations with as partners. They view themselves as superior to them and the women as commodities. But, you know, I don't think this guy is going to be dating somebody who's a ugly chick. Do you think he has pictures of girlfriends that are just, you know, ugly or plain Jane looking and all that he cares about is personality? No.
You're on a first date, for example, and let's say you're on a first date with like a really pretty girl.
Right.
If she pays you a compliment, or she says, genuinely, if she says anything, you already know it's coming from a place of authenticity, because this girl probably has like 10 dates this week. And she has.
What? Why are you assuming that this person has 10 dates in a week just because she's attractive? Again, it took less than a minute for this guy to completely flip his own argument against itself. You're the one who's judging her based on her being, you know, pretty, assuming that she's going to have this, you know, this many dates because she's pretty. Like, what? Let's continue.
There's lots on her plate. She's thinking about a lot of things, so she doesn't really have the energy or to put on like a facade. And I think that most people can sense that. And from what you're saying, women can really sense that if a guy is saying, here's the flowers, here's the reservation, or whatever it is, and they feel like it's a transactional thing. Because for a lot of guys, it is. Like,
yes,
most guys are not going on a date every single day. They're going on like one date a month with a girl they actually like.
Because you spend so much time, a lot of these guys spend so much time using the shotgun approach, and they spend more time, like, these guys would rather swipe whatever direction, right, I guess, swipe right on whomever many times and trying to just get one that's going to potentially talk to them instead of actually taking the time and getting to know people and, like, you know, treating people as if they're more than just sex objects. So
they don't have options, and so that they when they're actually there,
the reason they don't have options is because those are self-imposed. once I stopped feeling sorry for myself and started, like, just understanding that people have every right to be attracted to whoever they're attracted to, I became much more confident, much less fearful of rejection, and I would talk to people, and if they were not interested, they weren't interested, and I didn't care if they weren't interested in me in a relationship, because, I was just out there, talking to people and having a good time, and then occasionally you'd find somebody that was, and what didn't require me just, constantly, swiping on people just to try and match up with them. It just, required me, doing one basic thing: treating women as if they were people and worthy of respect. Imagine that.
So stressed and they need things to go perfectly that they behave strangely. And I think that women can perceive that.
Yes.
So what you're describing is like, you need to be this authentic guy that if a girl blows you off, you say, hey, no worries.
Yeah.
That
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. But yeah, absolutely. If someone has rejected you, should, let it, whatever. Just move on to the next person if you get rejected. Don't take it personally, because she doesn't have any requirement to be attracted to you. And she shouldn't feel obligated to give you the time of day if, she has no attraction to you. Now, I mean, if you ask nicely, maybe she'd give you the time of day, but, she's not required to or obligated to anyway date you. But you should still be a good person to the person nonetheless. And look, they should be good back to you as well. If I walk up to somebody and I start having a conversation with them and ask them out on a date and they say, no, don't want to go on a date with you, like back when I was in college or whatever, fine, then good. As long as, but if they reject me and they're like, I would never go out with such a fat fuck, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I know I'm overweight, and some people don't like that, and some people are fine with it. Some people actually like it. So but as long as you're not mean about it, I'm not going to judge you for not being attracted to me. It's not my fault you're not attracted to me. It's not your fault either.
guy is a guy with a lot of options, and the guy with a lot of options is usually just a really handsome guy. I mean, that's what it is.
What would you say about?
Because, but the guy who's very attractive, and I'll probably get out on a limb and say that this guy would probably be viewed as attractive. But then the problem with a lot of these guys is that they might be physically attractive, and then they open their mouths. And then the women are just like, ugh. So maybe the reason that these guys who are attractive have all of these, options available to them is because they're not just attractive, but they're also doing other things and treating people with dignity and treating people with respect and not being absolutely shitty to them. So many times, men block themselves from any sort of intimacy. Let's continue.
Examples of ugly dudes with smoking hot girls.
Yeah, and I was also going to bring that up too, is that, there was a time when I was in my fraternity back in college. I mean, again, I wasn't this big, but I was still bigger than a lot of the guys in my fraternity. And these guys from like the pledge class after me couldn't understand why every time we went to a Mardi Gras parade that I would always be talking with somebody, and they would always be, somebody who I guess they found attractive. And because I just talk to anybody. Like, I don't have to be attractive to you to be friendly to you in a Mardi Gras route. But sometimes it does happen. And like, I remember talking to one, and like, she was up on my shoulders to catch beads or whatever. We were having a good fun time. Nothing ever came of it, but I could hear them in the background. Like, why does he always get such attractive women and we can't find? Because you're a bunch of miserable shits who don't understand how to approach people. Like, instead of talking about me behind my back and wondering why I'm so successful talking to people, talk to me and ask me what's going on, and I'll be more than happy to explain it to you. Because again, I'm not constantly after every single person, or I wasn't constantly after every single person trying to, get laid. I was just trying to have a good time just with the company of the person that I was talking to, and if more happened, great. If more didn't happen, great. We had a good time.
It's such an
we've all
interesting
seen
question. I mean, so now you're getting into SMV, like sexual market value stuff. So I believe that, obviously everyone has seen someone with status, there's famous actors with beautiful wives, or someone who's really rich, every girl wants.
Well, like Donald Trump, somebody who's very rich who marries Melania. That's an example, but that's not what he was talking about. At least I'm assuming that's not what he was talking about. He was talking about guys who, have their confidence and their personality win people over. I've always dated up. Now, maybe this is a little self-deprecating on my part, and sometimes people find self-deprecating humorous. But I'm always making people laugh. I'm always making people feel at ease. Like, I cannot tell you how many people, after, like, first initially talking to me, how people will just open up to me. They will just absolutely just, and it makes me feel really good that I kind of exude this aura where people feel so comfortable around me that they're willing to talk about a lot of personal stuff very quickly. And it makes me feel good that I make these people feel as if they could be comfortable around me, that I'm not going to judge them, that I'm not just looking at them as just sex objects, that I actually want to get to know them as a person. Like, and that goes a long way. That goes absolutely a long way when it comes to dating. And of course, a lot of these conversations, mind you, are definitely conversations that are heteronormative. So we're kind of having these discussions here talking about men dating women. So it's both cisnormative and heteronormative, but these guys in the manosphere are typically not folks who are going to be in the LGBTQA plus umbrella. These are people who are typically going to be cisnormative and heteronormative. So that's where their viewpoint is. So that's why we have to talk about this in this way. Let's see, where was that started? Because we got to make sure we don't overlap any on the video. So it was 1:15-ish when we started, and we're only at 2 minutes, so we can go to 1:25 anyway. And it actually goes to 1:26, so we're good.
Wants to go on the yacht party, and then you see the guy that owns the yacht. He's not so handsome. But
again, he wasn't talking about somebody who was just rich. He was talking about somebody who was just unattractive, regardless of income level, who date up because again, they're dating up only because you're looking at it looks-wise, and they're not considering all the other factors that come into play when somebody wants to date somebody else. But these people are so focused on the physical that they can't get anything else out of their head. They can't even let anything into their head. There's not enough room up there because they're tiny. But still, let's continue.
I would say that between these three things, your looks.
And I'm frankly surprised that we haven't seen the red flag start being raised up yet. But, I'm thinking it should happen soon.
How wealthy you are, what your status is, whether you're well known. Like within the balance of those three traits, you'll get to a certain point where you're acceptable to.
Would you add personality and values to that list, to your sexual marketplace value, right? Because people generally want to date people who share values, who they have good chemistry with, that they enjoy talking to, right?
Yeah, no, I think that having shared values is important for a really long-term relationship.
But isn't that what you're looking for? Because you guys in the manosphere are only wanting people who are looking for long-term commitment types, because you judge the women who play around and have fun and enjoy sex for the pleasure of sex itself. Y'all judge the women for that. So they're all hypocritical because they don't hold themselves to the same standards. And that's the one thing that I would judge of the parts of this video that we've watched. I've not yet seen him say, do you hold yourself to the same standard? Which is, I think, is a big dropping of the ball on his part. But still, let's continue.
But I think that the reality, how old are you, by the way?
42.
42. I wish that I was born when you were born, because I think when we're talking about long-term relationships nowadays, where the women that people in my age group are dating, they've been on dating apps, they've been on Instagram their whole life.
Right.
So they've been inundated with interest from men, truly inundated, every.
And this is another thing. These men will complain about women controlling the sexual marketplace. Well, the supply of men looking for women is so large because, as I've said before on this show, they basically act like a bunch of sluts. I don't slut shame here, but I'm using the term to make a point. That the men are out there throwing themselves at anybody possible, not giving women the opportunity to come seek them out. Because they're just constant. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. Let's swipe 100 times on Tinder today or whatever. Let's swipe 100 times on this other app. Let's just approach every single possible woman that we could possibly talk to try and get in their pants. So yeah, obviously they're going to be inundated with all of these guys because guess what? Y'all are the ones creating the problem that you're complaining about. If you would show a little bit of self-restraint and not constantly go after everybody you see, that might give people time to actually be like, oh, you know what? I might want to go up and talk to that person. So,
single day, hundreds of men are requesting to have a date with them, or literally just like jump into bed with them right away. And I think that that's created this.
And so what's the problem? Like, so let's say that's true. Let's say that there's a particular woman that has hundreds of men every day trying to get in their pants. Does that mean they're going to do it? Why are you assuming that? Again, you are judging women by the bad behavior of men. Simple as that.
Really warped sense of reality for a lot of women. And I think it's starting to, I think it's just starting to affect men really deeply.
I think,
again, but the thing that's affecting men very deeply is the problem of their own making. Like, again, they talk about the male loneliness epidemic. The male loneliness epidemic is self-created. It's self-made. The men who are lonely are making themselves lonely by acting like these shitheads, looking up to these shitheads for advice. Dean Baker goes, this is kind of a liberal Dan After Dark subject. Maybe, but I've always done the unraveling toxic masculinity bits or whatever. And so, yeah, we're going to, I might be a little more graphic about it on Liberal Dan After Dark. And in reality, we haven't even gotten that graphic on Liberal Dan. I didn't even get to do the conversation on consent last night. I didn't even get to play the Dirty Christmas song that I wanted to play last night because everyone was so busy talking that there was really no natural time to just cut off the conversation and go there. It's still a work in progress. Let's just put it that way. Liberal Dan After Dark is still a work in progress.
I think we agree on some of this, but not others. Looks absolutely matter. Like, anybody who tells you otherwise
it's crazy.
Is probably.
Yeah. There are some people for whom looks are secondary, but yeah, looks. You need to have some sort of attraction to the person that you're going to be dating long term. How if you're not attracted to them, then if physical attraction matters to you, and for most people it does, they're not going to be dating somebody they're not physically attracted to. So but again, you can't fault people for that. You can't fault people for not having an interest. Because I can't control who I'm attracted to. You can't control who you're attracted to. So
selling you something. Yeah. So it looks absolutely matter. They matter most in the early phases, right? They get you the attention. They get you that first date. They get you probably a little bit more leeway on that. Like if you say something stupid or you mess up or whatever, like you're probably going to get more slack if you're a really good looking guy than if you're not. And you might even be right.
There was a time, let's say, I used to work with somebody when I was working downtown, and I was dating my ex. And it was like me and my ex and her friend and the person her friend was dating at the time, and this other guy, Mike, who I worked with, who we were meeting about and talking about something. Mike was an attractive dude. He had no problems dating, none whatsoever. People fawned over him or whatever. And I wasn't like, ooh, he's a hottie, but I would say absolutely that's an attractive guy. Not my type, but still, that's an attractive guy. And like they were kind of like, oogling about how cute he was or whatever, how hot he was, and it was pissing off the other guy. But I'm like, who cares? Who cares if they think that he's attractive? So what? They're dating us. Do you not trust them? If you don't trust the person that they're going to leave, then don't get in a committed relationship with them if you think they're going to leave you.
I will concede that in this day and age, right, where everything's driven through apps and Instagram and everything, like appearance is probably
it's amplified.
It's at the most premium that it's ever been.
Yeah.
That said, I think.
And here's the other thing that these guys don't take into consideration. It's that back in the 50s and 60s, back before, women, were, starting to gain equality, coming out of the, oh, women belong in the kitchen, blah, 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 blah. Back then, when they couldn't get a job, they couldn't really work on their own, You know, they basically had to move from their parents' house to their husband's house. So they didn't really have much choice in the matter. They had to find somebody. So many women settled for just whatever schlub they could, you know, get to marry them. So you'd have a lot of schlubs dating a lot of people who were probably out of their league only because they needed that to survive. Nowadays, women understand that they have more value in the world and they can actually survive on their own and don't need anybody to help support them. And as such, they're not going to settle. And the men who would normally have gotten, you know, married in the 40s and 50s, who are not getting married today, don't want to do any self-introspection and understand why it's different. They'll blame feminism again because to them it's feminism's fault they can't find a date. No, it was the patriarchy's fault that people like you were substandard men, and I'm talking about substandard men personality-wise, were able to find people to marry. So if you're not going to fix your personality in this day and age, you're going to be stuck in a little lonely hole.
Once you get past that first date or that first impression, and especially once you get in the real world, when you actually get into like meeting women face to face at a party, at a friend's house, whatever, the value of looks proportionally to personality comes down. And I think once you get in, you know, say a month into the relationship, it's almost not a factor anymore. It's almost all personality.
I couldn't disagree more because I think a lot of the
I couldn't disagree more because I don't like your worldview and I don't want to have my worldview challenged.
The relationships I've seen of my peers that have made it, it's usually been, you know, they've been together for 10 plus years and both of them they've kind of let go of all of the facade and the vain things you're describing.
Sure.
Maybe they don't go to the gym every day like they used to, or they stop caring that much about eating healthy. And I think the ones that have made it, I'm saying the man and the woman have kind of both let go of these things progressively, and they've descended is what they say.
Okay.
And so
they're
I think in
Chris goes, these guys talking are stupid as a rock. I mean, this guy right here, this one is the one that's the smarter of the whole bunch. The other one is the dumbass.
decline. The descended is what's happening.
And I think maybe part of that is because they've both internally really committed, like, this is the relationship I'm going to be in the rest of my life. Why would I do all this BS?
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times it's not so simple like that. You might only be 4 or 5 years into a relationship and you're like, this feels really good, but sometimes I'm not sure. And I think that if both partners, at the end of the day, they feel like, you know, this person I'm dating isn't just valuable to me, they could be valuable to other people as well. It discourages people from just kind of throwing things away.
What he just said there is just a random bunch of mush that doesn't make any damn sense whatsoever.
Or deciding that their life is better off in a different direction or whatever it might be.
If I can just tell you my experience, I've been with my wife for 14 years. My girlfriend before that I was with for about 3.5 years. Something funny happens. When you're in a loving relationship that is very happy, you stop seeing each other objectively. It's actually really weird.
But he's trying to explain something to a guy who probably doesn't even have the capability to love in the first place. Because again, these people will bring up my partner or whatever, like they don't have partners. They don't view their people that they date as their equals. They only view them as receptacles for their you-know-what. So I don't think you're gonna have a very easy time. But again, the reason we make these videos, the reason why this guy probably made this video with the 1 versus 20, the reason why I make these videos is not because I expect to convince the people who are part of the manosphere to actually be convinced about it. I don't think I'm going to convince any of these 20 people at all. It's to combat what they're saying so that other people aren't drawn in by the bullshit. That's why we do what we do.
Like, because this person matters so much to you, even if they're gaining weight.
Chris, nobody has a comb. Unkempt hair is the big thing, I guess, apparently. I should ruffle. Maybe that's my thing. Maybe that's why I'm not growing enough, because I have a nice clean-cut haircut. Maybe I need to make myself all spiky. Anyway, let's continue.
Even if they've let themselves slip a little bit, even if they, I don't know, are dealing with some sort of, like, sickness or condition or whatever, like, you don't see it. It's like your perception warps around them.
That's actually somewhat not true, because there is data that shows that when a partner gets sick, when a spouse gets sick, the male partner is more likely than the woman partner to leave that relationship. Now, most stay, but of when people leave relationships because their spouse is going through a health issue, it is men who are more likely than women who are likely to leave the relationship because, in my opinion, they didn't actually love their spouse to begin with. That's my interpretation of that, because I don't understand that mentality, but it is a sad state of affairs, a sad statement to make on society that is a real thing.
Yeah.
And the same happens to you. Looks really only come back into play if you're unhappy, right? Because then that's when you start asking yourself, why am I still here? Why am I putting up with this? Oh yeah, she's not as hot as she used to be. I just realized that. You know, like it's that.
A lot of married guys also talk about how the attractiveness can ebb and flow, and it can come back in funny ways after, you know, a long.
Is this guy a married guy? How does he know what a lot of married guys say? It's probably maybe some of the manosphere guys say what they're saying because they're grifting and they want to keep you hooked. But, you know.
Long time, like
Yes.
you've been with your wife.
Yes. Flower Dragon. Wait, what about communication? What about communication? These guys don't want to talk to their people that they're dating. They just want to have sex with them. They don't care about communicating. That's why they're lonely, because they don't care about communicating.
Dude, so much of attraction, physical attraction, like our perception of what is attractive is driven by our emotions.
You know, but if I can interrupt you, like, frankly, I mean, you're like a media personality. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of look smaxed right now for your age group. Like,
Thank you.
frankly, I mean, you don't seem like you haven't. I mean, you're like in good shape.
Thanks, man.
This is why I should be on these shows, because I'm not a huge personality, because I am not somebody who is like, you know, the rugged good life, but I have more success dating than these assholes because I treat women with respect.
So that,
Or
then you
had, I
would
guess.
say that once you're to a certain level of intimacy and connection, that everything physical kind of just goes out the door.
I wouldn't say everything,
Yeah.
but I would say it.
Yeah, Jolie, thank you for the exact number. Men are 6 times more likely to leave a sick spouse. Yes, I forgot the actual number, but thank you for the actual number. Appreciate you, Jolie, as always.
It becomes deprioritized a lot.
I think we're getting a little. I think that my bigger message, just for like young men that are in the early stages, because I mean, look, everyone.
His bigger message. Young men, if you're listening to his message, plug your ears, because what you're about to hear is bullshit. Let's continue.
Would love to have a happy marriage and be on
Yeah.
year 14, but I
Yeah.
think that like most of these guys who are kind of in the red pill community, they want to talk about game and all this stuff. Like you need to be, you know, rude to
Wait, hold on.
a woman to get her to like you.
Yeah, like again.
Yeah, and that's stupid. Like, you know, oh, you got to neg the person. You gotta say, oh, well, you know, you don't look as good as you think. What? I don't even know how to neg somebody, because I mean, I did watch that pickup artist show and saw the guy trying to teach all these schlubs how to become more successful in dating, and the way you do it is by, you know, insulting them. Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Like, you know, gentle picking on each other is one thing. Me and my wife pick on each other all the time, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're not going to be actually insulting to the other person. And maybe it might work on a select few, but still, it's stupid.
And it's not that looks don't matter. It's just that I think what I see, right? And I'm not really in this industry anymore.
Yeah.
Like I used to, all my work was around like helping guys meet girls and get laid and find a girlfriend and all that.
You got guys laid?
Yeah.
Like,
Again, I'd probably sit there and I would sit there if I had a conversation with this guy right here, and if I told him about my dating life, he absolutely would not believe me. He absolutely would not believe me for 1 second, because I go against his worldview.
like a lot of them.
DB Golding, at 63 years old, I have never heard such bullshit in my life, and I have an embarrassing body count. Embarrassingly high or embarrassingly low? I mean, not that body count should be used as a judge for judging anybody, but are you saying you have a lot of former sexual partners or a few?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to take guys out to bars.
High. That's why I assumed, but I didn't want to necessarily assume. So, Mazel Tov.
And like,
You would wingman them?
yeah. like a professional wingman.
Isn't it so weird how just having another dude with you, like I think it increases your chance by like 1,000%.
It's ridiculous. It's social proof. But it's what I see with your generation. Because so much of this is moved online, it's moved into the digital sphere, so much of how people talk about and understand dating has become digitized. It's just photos and numbers on a screen. And so I what I see is guys over-indexing on stuff like this, right? It's like the looks match.
Karen goes, guys don't need a damn wingman. I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, when I was single, I've gone out and met people without having anybody else with me. But I went one New Year's Eve. I went out with this with him after work, and then ended up meeting somebody, and it was great. And you know, I don't know if him being with me helped or not, but he was there. I could understand the idea where some guy alone at a bar might, you know, you might have the impression, oh, he's just out trolling, trying to find something. Whereas if a guy is with a group of guys, maybe it's, oh, these guys are just out hanging out together and we're just happening to meet in spite of that. So I can understand why hanging out with multiple people might be seen as, you know, potentially safer than some guy who's out there by himself. But I don't know. I mean, you don't necessarily need a wingman for that. You could just be hanging out with friends. So, but exactly, Karen. But I said that before too. Not if they have confidence in themselves. And that's the thing. When I gained confidence, when I started realizing that when people reject me, it's not any sort of comment on my worth, because they have every right to be attracted to whoever they're attracted to. I stopped giving a crap about rejection. I gained more confidence. And because I had more confidence, I started dating more people. And very attractive people as well. And how I found my beautiful wife is because she's a very beautiful woman and she was drawn to everything about my personality. And she thinks I'm cute too. So, you know.
Same thing. I totally get it, man. Like, you should be as good looking as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
Like, that is just fucking logical, right? It's going to help.
And here's the other funny thing. What went along with that is that I was like maybe 180 pounds in high school, you know, going into my like senior year or whatever. I was 180 or maybe up to 200, like within that window in the last year or two of high school. And I had I didn't date a lot. Dated some, but not a lot. But as I got bigger and bigger, mentally, I was also gaining more confidence, not because of how I looked, but I dated more people regardless, because of my personality and because of my confidence, not because of the body size. So I didn't necessarily have to work on making myself hotter to seem more attractive to people. All I had to do is make myself, you know, be authentic, make myself, you know, have confidence in myself and not worry about the rejection. And that's what made me more attractive. So
in every area of life, not just with women.
How could it be controversial?
Yeah, it's self-improvement. But like, what I worry about is like just only focusing on that to the disregard of everything else, because ultimately.
And exactly, and that's what they do. That's what the manosphere types do. That's what they teach you. That's why it's a grift, because they tell you to focus on only these things that aren't going to actually attract a long-term partner. Yeah. They tell you to work out. They tell you to go to the gym. They tell you to do whatever. And probably buy their supplements too, using their special promo code to save you 20% off on whatever. Like, they'll do that. But they're not going to teach these guys to work on to go to therapy. They're not going to teach these guys to, you know, be better people in how they communicate with other people, especially the people that they want to date. Because if they taught them how to successfully date, then guess what? They wouldn't need the grifters anymore. They'd have it all figured out. Right? So they need to keep these schlubs lonely, so they're not going to give them the real advice on what they need to do to find a successful partner, a successful relationship. So,
like, over the long term,
Yeah.
what matters is, how are you showing up? How do you feel about yourself? Do you communicate?
But that didn't matter to the other guy in the other video, because the other guy in the other video, he asked, would you rather a virgin who never showed up for you or somebody with a past of 10 partners but who always showed up for you? And that guy was like, I want the virgin. So if their priorities are that screwed up, they're never going to learn.
Communicate well? Are you respectful? Can you like call somebody out on their bullshit,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the stuff that matters.
I have to.
All right, I'm sorry, I gotta stop you there. We're out of time.
Oh man, 10 minutes.
I'm surprised he didn't get flagged about that. But anyway, I guess that'll be the whole content thing of this video. Again, we're going to have more videos on unraveling toxic masculinity. Not all of them are going to be this long. Some of them are going to be much shorter. But when I saw this video existed, I needed to do a several video series on this because I really wanted to, kind of get a more longer form response to how these guys talk, how these guys act, and to respond to it, because again, one of the most important things that we need to do as men is to stand up against this hyper toxicity that these grifting manosphere folks are pushing out to our young men in this society. So there's that. So what did Big Hook say? I miss what did he? Did I miss it? I'm in live chat. I missed what Big Hook said. I don't know. Karen will say, my husband seen me once and told himself that's the girl I'm going to marry. I was hanging out the window of a car. Nice. Guy says, I was a CEO and lost everything to medical bills and a divorce. Ugh, that is terrible. I'm very sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. What was it you said? Don't marry a bipolar divorce attorney. I mean, I guess that's good advice for anything, right? I was a CEO of art galleries and art restoration services and framing for museums. Wow. I would imagine that would be pretty good. But again, better off now. Sure, absolutely. Because like with me, for example, I'm making more money now than I was 10 years ago, but financially I'm still in the same shit. So, because more shit happens, and as the shit that happens to you over time, and it starts to snowball and starts compounding like interest, but it's negative interest. So, Chris Daly, life's a trip. Or as Monty Python says, life's a piece of shit when you lie at it. Life's a laugh and death's a joke, it's true. You'll see it's all a show, keep 'em laughing as we go. Just remember that the last laugh is on you. And always look on the bright side of life. Anyway, so I don't want to get... I doubt I'll get copyright stricken there by my bad impression of the always look on the bright side of life. I've got to go meet up with my friend. Talk to you later. Have a good one, Karen. We were ending the show in a few minutes anyway, so I know I haven't gone to the phones in about a week or two or whatever. Next week, I will promise to open back up the phone lines, but I do have a bunch of stuff to do tonight before I go to bed, and of course, there's work tomorrow. Appreciate every one of y'all for joining. If you haven't smashed that like button, please make sure to smash that like button. Go on to liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel, youtube.com/liberaldanradio. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, share lots of videos, comment on videos, like videos, help the algorithm. Al Gore needs more rhythm. So again, if something else happens that's big, I mean, I'm probably not going to do anything tomorrow regardless, but it may be if something happens over the weekend, I'll come live. But again, just follow my social media channels, Liberal Dan Radio, all over the place, and I will announce it there as well. So appreciate everybody for stopping by. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. I don't know why this thing is working very sillily. But again, we'll play a couple songs after we end, or not after we end, but here we'll end up play a couple songs, and then we will go off on our merry way. I hope one of you has a great night. Remember, if you want to support the show, most important thing to do is like all the algorithm stuff. You can buy memberships for people on YouTube. You can gift subscriptions on Twitch. You can patreon.com/liberaldan. You can Venmo Liberal Dan. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me Cider button. all the different monetary ways to support the show. But then again, the most important thing is to help the algorithm, because as we say again, Al Gore needs more rhythm. So you all have a great rest of your night. Appreciate y'all. Love you all. Thank you, Aaron and Jolie. You're great as well.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan. Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writings on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue of Liberty, the writing you can't see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish-based laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolery, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirm is an ending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. The testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't be. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A chaotic secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. but he was much shorter. It must not exist that also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.